Hi guys, welcome to another session of News in 30 minutes. Let us now discuss some of the important issues on the 9th of December 2023. So yesterday we got the MINS 2023 results, and I am happy to announce that the course of Advanced MINS Masterclass, 20 students have got the interview call from the course. So it's a very good news. So I congratulate everyone from the MINS Masterclass who have got the interview call, and I also would like to give a message to all those students who did not get the call. Please don't get disappointed. You people are equally deserving. Even if one paper has not worked out, you may have missed out on the interview call. It may be in any of the papers, GS papers or ethics or essay or your optional. So you never know. Just one paper would have created that a resistance for you to get a call. So please don't lose heart. You will do it. You will make it. You just have to wait for your time. Okay. Please be patient. Please keep doing your duty diligently. And when your time comes, you will definitely ace it. With that, let us start off with the news in 30 minutes on the 9th of December 2023. Okay. So the first issue is payload onboard Aditya L1 captures full disk images of the sun. Okay, it added that the suit observations will help scientists study the dynamic coupling of the magnetized solar atmosphere and assist them in placing tight constraints on the effects of solar radiation on the Earth's climate. Okay, however, the reason why I'm telling you this is I know that we have spoken a lot about Aditya L1 mission. Okay, so just to give you a summary, Aditya L1 mission is the first solar space observatory. It is the first solar space observatory, that is directly observing the sun. But if you take space observatory as such, then it is the second, because the first space observatory was astrosat. It was astrosat, and as you know, Aditya L1 is a mission that is dedicated for the observation of the sun. Okay, and the second thing is it is placed at 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. Okay, it is placed at 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. It is directed towards the sun, and it is placed at L1 Lagrange point. Okay, now these are some information that you should know, because in prelims factual part is becoming very, very important. So there are very high chances that the questions can come asking about the facts. Okay, they can change this into 2 million kilometers. Okay, so they can ask you L1 is a Lagrange point that comes between Earth and Sun, or L1 comes behind Earth, or L1 comes beyond Sun. So like this they can ask you such factual information. Okay, that is why you should have a very good clarity in your basics. For example, if you take the Aditya L1 mission, the L1 is the Lagrange point, and I told you what is the Lagrange point. It is a point where the gravitational pull of the two bodies balances itself out. So this and this body will balance itself out exactly at this point, that is known as Lagrange point. Okay, so between, if you take this as sun and this as Earth, if you draw a straight line, so this is L1 point, this is L2, this is L3. Okay, and if I join this, then this has to be equilateral triangles that I'm drawing. Okay, then this becomes L4 and this becomes L5. So these are the 5 Lagrange points between the sun and the Earth. Okay, and see, L1 comes between the sun and Earth, and this is where Aditya L1 mission is directed towards. Okay, and L2, as I've already told you, is where the James Webb telescope is already placed. Okay, and L1 already has NASA's observatory that is known as SOHO, that is Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, that is already there in L1. Okay, now these are some information that you should know from prelims perspective that you already know. Now one more information what I'm going to give you is regarding the payload. Okay, so now this, as you see here, look at this, the suit observation. Okay, a few days back you also learned that there is something called aspects. This aspects payload is mainly dedicated to understanding the solar winds as well as coronal mass ejections. Okay, so this is one payload, this is the second payload. So overall, when you're reading the newspapers every day, you're reading one payload, what it is doing. and as and when these payloads get operational, the news is coming in the newspaper. However, from the exam's perspective, you should have some idea about the payloads. So if I take the Aditya L1 payload, okay, so one thing that you should know is there are 7 payloads that are there in Aditya L1. Okay, in this 7 payloads, all are indigenously developed. All are indigenously developed. Okay, now among the 7 payloads, 4 are basically remote sensing. They are remote sensing, and 3 are in situ observation. In situ observation means they are direct observation. Okay, so 4 are remote sensing and 3 are in situ observation. Okay, now what are these 7 payloads? As you studied a few days back, one payload is aspects. Aspects is Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment. Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment. The second is SOOT. That is today this particular payload is in news. This elaboration is Solar Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope. So basically it takes pictures, and it takes pictures in which spectrum? It takes pictures in near UV ray spectrum. Okay, so that is what is the job of this SOOT payload. Okay, and it takes images of 2 important part of the sun. One is chromosphere, and the other is photosphere. Chromosphere and photosphere. Okay, the third payload is VELC. This payload is basically visible emission line coronagraph. Visible emission line coronagraph. The fourth one is known as PAPA, that is Plasma Analyzer Package for Aditya. Plasma Analyzer Package for Aditya. This is PAPA. The fifth is SOLEX. SOLEX. Okay. So the SOLEX is Solar Low Energy X-ray Spectrometer. Okay, the Solar Low Energy X-ray Spectrometer. And the next 6 is HEL1OS. This is 1. Okay, it is Helios with a 1. This is I energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer. I energy L1 orbiting X-ray spectrometer. And the 7th is magnetometer. And this is nothing but measuring. Interplanetary. It is measuring interplanetary magnetic fields. At the L1 distance. Measuring interplanetary magnetic field at L1 distance. Okay, so overall these are the 7 payloads. Okay, let me just repeat it. It is one is aspects, Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment. Another is SOOT, Solar Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope. Okay, this takes pictures. The third is VELC. Okay, it is VELC, Visible Emission Line Coronagraph. Okay, this basically studies the sun's outermost layer, that is the corona. This is basically in charge of studying the sun's outermost layer, that is the corona. The next is PAPA, that is Plasma Analyzer Package for Aditya, and SOLEX, it is a Solar Low Energy X-ray Spectrometer. Helios, that is High Energy L1 Orbiting X-ray Spectrometer, and Magnetometer, that measures the interplanetary magnetic field at the L1 distance. Okay, these are all remote sensing in nature. They just sense in different spectrum to observe the sun. Okay, so these are the 7 important payloads. Now if you take the sun, okay, and if this is the core of the sun, okay, the outermost part of the sun, okay, is made up of corona. Okay, the next part is what we call as chromosphere. Okay, and the next interior part, okay, this is known as the photosphere. Okay, so from outside, if I have to go inside, if I go inside, first is corona, the second is chromosphere, and the third is photosphere. And if you see, what is very interesting is corona is actually having very high temperature compared to chromosphere. Okay, that is the interesting part. Corona, though it is further from the sun's core is the part where nuclear fusion is taking place and more of the energy is generated. Though corona is the furthest layer from the sun's core, it is corona that has the highest temperature compared to chromosphere. Not the core, compared to chromosphere. Chromosphere has relatively low temperature compared to corona. So that is one observation that you should make. So basically we are interested in understanding this coronal mass ejections. Why is corona having such high temperatures? What are the different phenomena that happens in chromosphere and photosphere? We are trying to take the images. So these are something that Aditya L1 mission is mainly concerned upon. Okay, so I hope you understood the issue. So basically you got to know, one, you had already an idea about the Aditya L1 mission, but now you also got to know what are the different payloads carried by Aditya L1 mission. There are 4 that are in a remote sensing category and 3 that are doing in situ observations. And what are they? You just learned them. Okay, so with that, let us move on to the next issue. The next issue is talking about glaciers. We are seeing enormous amount of glacial incidents. We are seeing more and more amounts of glacial incidents that are happening all across the globe. Okay, so what the author is telling is threats from contracting glaciers should be in the same category of risk like cyclones and earthquakes. So the author is warning that we need to treat the glacial retreat or the glacial melting should be treated as a risk category. It should be treated as a risk category, and we have to make sure that whatever we do to mitigate the disasters, the same thing has to be done with respect to the glaciers also. Okay, why is the author talking about this? Is because basically it talks about an icy warning. The icy warning comes from 2 important reports. One is the WMO's the recent report that is called the Global Climate 2011-2020. The Global Climate 2011-2020 report. This is one report. Okay, in this report they are given 3 important instances. One, you can make a note of it, which you can use in your answers also. The first is the world's glaciers. Okay, the world's glaciers are thinning. The world's glaciers are thinning at an approximately 1 meter. The world's glaciers are thinning at an approximate of 1 meter a year from 2011 to 2020. Okay, so from 2011 and 2020, the world's glaciers are thinning at 1 meter per year. That is the first point. Okay, the second point that the report says is they give the example of African glaciers. Okay, in Africa. Okay, they give the example of glaciers on Rwenzori Mountains. Glaciers on Rwenzori Mountains and Mount Kenya. Okay, Rwenzori Mountains and Mount Kenya. They say that these glaciers are going to disappear by the end of 2030. These glaciers are going to disappear by 2030, and they say in the glaciers in mountain Kilimanjaro, the glaciers in mountains Kilimanjaro is going to disappear by 2040. Okay, so this is another information that is given in this report. Rwenzori Mountains and Mount Kenya, the glaciers are going to disappear by 2030, and Mount Kilimanjaro, the glaciers are going to disappear by 2040. Okay, the next the report, the Global Climate 2011-2020 report says that there has already been huge threat that is forming because of glacial retreat. Okay, because of glacial retreat, there is something called glacial lakes that are forming. These glacial lakes will create a phenomena called glacial lake outburst floods. Okay, so this frequency is increasing in recent times. The frequency is increasing. They give the example of 2013 Uttarakhand floods. They give the example of 2013 Uttarakhand floods. Okay, here there was GLOF that happened in Charbari Glacier. Okay, it is a place where the river called Mandakini rises. However, this is the reason. GLOF at Charbari Glacier was the reason for Uttarakhand floods in 2013. And 2023, they give the example of Sikkim. Sikkim experienced GLOF because of a glacial lake that is known as South Lonak Lake. Glacial lake known as South Lonak Lake. So that is another example that they give. Okay, so to just reiterate, the article talks about icy warning because of the impact of climate change on glaciers. Okay, glaciers are retreating at a fast pace, and one evidence given is the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization's report, that is the global climate 2011-2020. Here it says that the world's glaciers are thinning at an approximate of 1 meter per year from 2011 to 2020. The next is glaciers like Wrenzhori Mountains, Mount Kenya. The glaciers will disappear by 2030, and Mount Kilimanjaro, it is going to disappear by 2040. They say huge threat because of glacial retreat is because of glacial lakes that are forming. These glacial lakes will create an disaster event known as GLOFs. One example they give is 2013 Uttarakhand floods that happened because of the GLOF created by the glacial lake that blasted during the retreat of Charbari Glacier. One more example is the Sikkim GLOF was done because of the glacial lake that burst, and that glacial lake is South Lonak Lake. Okay, so these are the three important points that shows that the glaciers are retreating. Okay, now there is one more report that is given by ICMOD, and this ICMOD says that the Hindu Kush Himalayas, in the Hindu Kush Himalayas, the glacial retreat is happening 65% more in 2010s. Glacial retreat is happening 65% more in 2010s compared to its previous decade. So compared to its previous decade, in Hindu Kush Himalayas, the glacial retreat is happening 65% more compared to its previous decade. This is what is the report given by ICMOD, that is known as International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. Okay, International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. That is what this report says. Okay, now with this, the author comes back and tells that because the threats from glaciers are increasing, we have to take glacial retreat as a event of disaster, and we have to make sure that we manage the disaster. So only if we treat that as a disaster, then we can take steps for disaster management. So we have to take steps such as creating risk assessments. The second is we have to create maps of vulnerable regions. We have to create early warning systems. And the fourth is we have to create disaster resilient infrastructure. Okay, so these are the four things that the author tells. By treating the glacial retreat as a disaster, we will help improve our disaster management, like bringing these aspects which will reduce the which will reduce the loss of life and property. Okay, so that is the main idea of this particular report. Okay, so I hope you have made use of this. This can be used in any part of your environment questions. Okay, it can be used in your GS3 environment, and any part if they ask you about the impact of man on environment, the impact of climate change on environment, or the reasons for environmental degradation, the sensitivity of Himalayan ecosystem, the fragility in Himalayas. So you can talk about any aspect, you can use these statistics, okay, or facts. Okay, so this completes this issue. The next issue is again a very, very important issue from both prelims and mains perspective. India's alarming fixed dose combination problem. Okay, that many of these unapproved or banned fixed dose combinations contain antibiotics is a cause of concern given the growing antibacterial microbial resistance in India. Antibacterial microbial resistance in India. Okay, first let us understand what does this fixed dose combination mean. Okay, see, if I take fixed dose combinations, now what happens is, if let us say a person is having a disease called X, and for a disease called X, let us say a person has to eat 3 tablets every morning, 3 tablets in the morning, afternoon as well as in the night. So that is 9 tablets. Okay, now if that person has to eat 3 tablets in the morning, afternoon as well as in the night, that person may forget to eat it on a regular basis. Because that person has to eat 9 tablets every day, it becomes a cumbersome task. So what happens to improve the patient compliance? To improve the patient compliance, what the pharmaceutical industry will do is, for this X disease, they will create a fixed dose combination. That is, they will create one medicine called Y, This Y will have a combination of all the 3 tablets in it. So by just the individual suffering from the disease X just have to take 1 tablet in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the night. That will create the effect of the 9 tablets. Okay, so I hope you understood. This is what is the fixed dose combination. Okay, so basically why is fixed dose combination done? It is basically to improve patient compliance, because one disease will have multiple tablets to be taken. What they do is they club all these tablets together and they create 1 tablet so that individual can take just 1 tablet. Okay, that is what is known as FDCs. So FDC's main idea is to improve patients compliance. Okay, now why is this in news? Because India has alarming FDC problem. Okay, so first thing is, there was a report, there was a journal of pharmaceutical policy and practice. So according to this journal, in India, if you take the year 2020, 60% of FDCs that are there in India regarding antibiotics, 60% of FDCs of antibiotics are unapproved but still manufactured. Look at this, 60% of FDCs that are unapproved are 60% of FDCs in the category of antibiotics are being manufactured though it is unapproved. Okay, now why is this happening? This is the major problem in India. Okay, the reason why it is happening is, now let me illustrate this. The reason that is happening is mainly threefold. Okay, the first is FDCs. Basically, broadly, FDCs are done by the pharma companies. Okay, FDCs are done by the pharma companies to escape liabilities under multiple laws. So basically what the pharma companies are doing is completely unethical. It may not be legal. It may not be illegal. Okay, pharma companies doing FDCs may not be illegal, but what they are doing is completely unethical. Okay, so that you can use in your ethics answers also. Okay, now let me tell you the reasons why the such unapproved FDCs are rampantly manufactured in India. Okay, the first reason why such unapproved FDCs are manufactured in India is there is no standards that are set by the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Okay, so basically this is the body that sets standards for all the drugs in India. So this Pharmacopoeia Commission, that is IPC, under Ministry of Health and Family Affairs, this has no standards that are set for FDCs. So when there are no standards set for FDCs, now this will allow the pharma industry to manufacture the FDCs of low standards. Okay, though it manufactures FDCs of low standards, the government cannot prosecute them. The government cannot prosecute them under Drugs and Cosmetics Act. They cannot prosecute them under Drugs and Cosmetics Act. This is the first and the most important point. That is, the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission has not set standards for FDCs. Okay. The second reason why FDCs are manufactured at such higher level, though it is unapproved, is if you take the Drugs Price Control Order. If you take the Drugs Price Control Order, DPCO, okay, now this Drug Price Control Order will fix the prices on individual drugs. It will fix the prices on individual drugs, but it will not fix prices on FDCs. Okay, it will fix the price on individual drugs, it will not fix on FDCs. So what the pharma industries will do is, the pharma industry will obviously take advantage of this loophole and they will try to unnecessarily create FDCs, fixed dose combinations. Okay, and this fixed dose combinations will then be sold at higher price. Okay, one example is several drugs that are created by a combination of, one, it is anti-inflammatory drug, and this drug is mixed with vitamins. Okay, so this drug is mixed with vitamins and they are given as fixed dose combinations. Okay, so this is the problem of FDCs. Okay, look at this fixed dose combination is basically done to enjoy this loophole that there is no price that is fixed for FDCs under Drugs Price Control Order, DPCO. Okay, so this is the second reason why such FDCs, the fixed dose combinations, are used or are manufactured at such high level. Okay, the third is there is a rule called any new drug that is manufactured. Okay, this has to submit a proof of safety. This has to submit a proof of safety and efficacy. It has to submit a proof of safety and efficacy to the Drug Control General of India, who is the head of the Central Drug Standards Control Organization. Okay, so basically this proof of safety and efficacy has to be approved by the Drug Control General of India. Now in this new drug, the central government assumes that in this new drug fixed dose combinations are also involved. But what happens is in the states they don't assume that in this new drug fixed dose combinations are not present. So what happens, the drug controller in the state government will approve manufacturing of FDCs, that is fixed dose combinations, without submitting the proof of concept to the Drug Control General of India. This is the problem happening. Okay, so the drug controller in the state governments are approving the fixed dose combinations that the pharmaceutical industries can manufacture without submitting the proof of safety and efficacy to Drug Control General of India. Now they are using the loophole that FDCs may not come under new drug. Okay, but in fact new drug FDCs will come under new drug, and this has to happen, that is any pharmaceutical industry that produces the FDCs has to submit a proof of safety and efficacy to the Drug Control General of India, and then only if it is approved they have to start manufacturing. However, this is also not being done. So broadly these are the three reasons. One, no standards has been set by Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. The second is Drug Price Control Order does not fix prices on FDCs, that is fixed dose combinations. The third is the new drug that has to be approved by the DCGI. FDCs do not come under that is one interpretation done by the state government, and this loophole is used for them to approve FDCs to the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, so these are the three important reasons why there is rampant production of fixed dose combination of drugs which are unapproved, especially in the section of antibiotics. Okay, so I hope you understood what is the issue that is happening. So here you learned a lot of different names. You should understand how the institutional mechanism works. How the institutional mechanism works with respect to healthcare. Okay, healthcare. Okay, so basically you have the parent law, Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. As you know, see, they are doing two things here. One, it is regulating the drugs. Two, it is also regulating the cosmetics. Okay, so you should have this idea. So there is Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Under this, if you take drugs, to control the drugs prices, you have Drugs Price Control Order. Okay, so according to this Drugs Price Control Order, there is individual drugs and the prices of these individual drugs are fixed. Okay, so this is one. The next is under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, you have something called Central Drug Standards Control Organization. Okay, that is CDSCO. All right. Now, the in charge of this is Directorate of Health Services. The in charge of CDCSO is Directorate of Health Services. That is DHS. He is in charge of the CDSCO. Okay. Now, what is the job of CDSCO? It is a regulatory body for two things. Okay. One, it is a regulatory body for all the cosmetics. It is also a regulatory body for pharmaceuticals as well as medical devices. Okay, so they are a regulatory body for one cosmetics, another is pharmaceuticals and medical devices. Okay, now forget the cosmetics, look at the forget the cosmetics for now. If you take the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is under the Directorate of Health Services, though it regulates two parts, one is cosmetics, another is pharmaceuticals and medical devices. Medical devices is also recently put, so you should remember this. This pharmaceutical and medical devices part, this is handled by the Drug Control General of India. Okay, so with this Drug Control General of India comes within the CDSCO. Within the CDSCO, that part of the regulation which is concerning pharmaceuticals and medical devices, that part is handled by the Drug Control General of India. Okay. However, the entire CDSCO is coming under Directorate of Health Services. So I hope you understood the difference between the different positions of Drug Control General of India with Directorate of Health Services. Okay. So overall, this is what is the institutional mechanism. All right. So this completes this topic. So I hope you understood the different institutions as well as different positions and as well as the regulation or the legislation that controls the entire standards as well as price control of drugs in India. Okay. So you also understood what is the concept of fixed dose combinations. Okay. So you understood the concept of what is fixed dose combinations. All right. So this is regarding this issue. The last issue of the day is another good news for India, that is India's climate action is the 4th strongest, says the climate change performance index. Okay, so it ranks 59 countries. Out of that, India is ranked at a very top position. The reason is because of its work in fighting climate change. Okay, so this particular climate change performance index is published by German Watch. Okay, and it assesses every country annually. Okay, and it assesses every country on 4 categories. These categories are important from prelims perspective. The 4 categories are: 1, GHG emissions. One is GHG emissions. The second is renewable energy. The second is renewable energy. The third is energy use. And the 4th is climate policy. Okay, so these are the 4 categories. The GHG emissions have 40% weightage, renewable energy has 20%, energy use has 20%, and climate policy has 20%. Okay, so these are the 4 parameters where a country is assessed annually and then given the ranking. It is published by an NGO called German Watch. Okay, so this is a non-governmental organization that is based in Bonn, Germany. Okay, so this climate change performance index shows that India is actually on track. Okay, India is on track to meet the benchmark, of below 2 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this shows that India has taken a leadership role not only with regards to global issues but also in the concept of climate change. Okay, so this actually you can use in different aspects. Okay, so it has also taken a lead in climate change. All right, so these were some of the important issues of the day. I hope you liked the issue and I hope you are making note of all these issues. If you have liked it, please make sure that you like, share and subscribe. Share this video with as many aspirants as possible so that they can also make good use of it. And thank you for all the love and support. I'm going to see you tomorrow, guys. I'm going to see you on Monday. So thank you so much. Bye, guys.